Just a little bit. You can see these really small marker points. It's nothing big. You can see how you've got a little line there, a little line there. My name's Nina Ubhi. I'm a professional makeup artist, and today I'm back with another educational beauty video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my secret makeup hacks that I feel you need to try. Now, if you do like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you don't miss any of my future videos. And don't forget, I'm over on Instagram too, so you can come and say hi there if you like reels and unboxing and just generally what I get up to when I'm not filming for YouTube. Now let's head straight into the video. I'm pretty excited about sharing my little makeup hacks with you. And yeah, we're going to start off with the first one, which is using bronzer as your eyeshadow. So not necessarily using it just as your eyeshadow, but also helping to kind of like sculpt the eye area and almost prep it for eyeshadow as well. I'm going to be showing you as we go along exactly how these hacks work and what they look like on me and how I use it sometimes. Now, what I'm going to be using is my Fenty Sunstalker in Shady Biz, and I'm going to grab my Sigma Beauty brush in E49. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm literally just going to be using my brush, applying it into this bronzer and just kind of like swirling it, but mainly focusing on like covering the tip of the brush. Now you can use a darker bronzer if you want to, but I don't like to use too much of a dark bronzer because I actually want to use this to kind of like very lightly sculpt my eye. So I don't want it to look like I've got a really dark shadow on my crease area. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in to my kind of like crease area here. It's just above the ball of the eye. And I'm basically going to use just the tip and I'm just going to go just kind of like back and forth, but like in very small motions, not all the way like this, like all the way across, but you can do that if you want to, but I like to just kind of like just gradually build it up. And I'm following that kind of like socket area. And you're going to see the difference compared to the other eye in a sec. I'm just going to go in and grab some more of this. And this is why I like using this specific shade, because it's actually really light, so it doesn't look heavy. Like sometimes I've used a darker bronzer and then when I apply it, it just looks like it's just too warm, if that makes sense, and like too orangey almost. So if you use some like a bronzer on much paler skin, it may end up looking quite orangey and not look right. So if I were you, you can use a more kind of cool undertone bronzer. So slowly we're kind of like building this up, and this is why I love this so much, because it just gives a really natural shadow to the eye. Like it just looks like it's naturally kind of sculpted. I am really hoping that you can already see this, because I can. So let's just do this last kind of bit. I'm not taking it all the way in, by the way, because I don't really like it when it goes all the way in. I like to kind of like taper it out, like just kind of like very lightly finish it so that it fades out near the front of the brow, because then I feel like it looks a bit more natural. Like the end of it, you can kind of like either lift it if you want more of a lifted look, or bring it down. I personally prefer to just, again, let it fade out near the end of the eye. I'm really hoping that close up you can see how this eye looks different to this eye. Now we've got this really nice natural kind of sculpting going on the lid, and it doesn't look obvious, it doesn't look OTT, it doesn't look orange, it just looks very naturally sculpted. So that's another reason I love using that there, because I have had some people saying, you know, like, what eyeshadow are you using? And I'm just using this. And I feel like it's way more natural, because eyeshadow can sometimes look very obvious on the eye. And this is just so nice and natural. And I love how it just looks, it doesn't look like there's too much going on, you know? So that was my first little makeup hack. My second makeup hack is using a kind of beige matte eyeshadow to lift small areas. It's very kind of like very small in comparison to like doing obviously larger areas on the face. And that's something else I'm going to show you. But this is when you really don't want it to look obvious. You want it to look very natural, and you want to give that hint of a lift to certain areas. It kind of like, I would say, kind of like finishes your face off a little bit. Like there are certain little things that you can do with this that actually really kind of just transform the way a certain eye look looks, or you know, your mouth area looks. So I'm going to show you that right now. Now I'm going to be using my Makeup by Mario Master Mattes, and I'm going to be using this light shade here. So I'm using which brush is this? This is my E55 from Sigma. So it's a kind of like good kind of flattish brush. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be applying this on just specific small areas. And I'm going to be applying it here firstly, just there. And I'm basically lifting it. So I'm just pressing it. And then dragging it very slightly. And it's left like a little white mark there, which is fine. We're going to do something else with it in a second. But you see that there? That's just giving it like a little lift. Secondly, we're going to do it here from the lower lip line. Just a little bit. You can see these really small marker points. It's nothing big. You can see how you've got a little line there, a little line there. And we're now just going to drag this down a bit. It's very subtle, and we're just dragging this down. And all this is going to do is give it a really subtle lift to those areas. So all we've done is just lift the corner of the mouth and then the corner of the eye. And especially when you're wearing eyeliner, I feel like it just finishes the whole look off. So these little things here can sometimes help to just give it a very natural lift. You know, when I'm not wearing much foundation, but I do want that little bit of lift. I do want that little bit of kind of sculpting, but I don't want it to look obvious. And I don't want to use my obviously darker colors or, you know, make it basically really obvious. I feel like I've said obvious a million times. But basically that's what I do there when I'm wearing kind of like a natural look where I want a little bit of a lift, but I don't want it to look in your face. My next little makeup hack is using a cream blush on my lips. I love doing this because I feel like it just gives me that natural kind of rosy glow to my lip, and I don't feel like I ever really have to reapply it because, like, for example, now I've got a little bit of lip liner on, nothing major, and then I'm going to go in to my Fenty Double Cheeked Up Freestyle Cream Blush Duo. This one is the Peony Dropper and Malibu's. However you say it. I'm going to use Peony Dropper because it's a lot slightly kind of more pink. Sometimes I mix these two together. I might actually do that now just because I feel like I get like the kind of color that I want. So I'm just basically, let me just check I've got the color that I want. Yeah, so I've got it on my finger. What I then do is I apply it to the back of my hand just to take all the excess off, and then I press it. I had no lipstick on, by the way. I almost smudge this into my lip liner because I feel like it looks more natural. Such a nice color when you mix these two together. I'm just going to apply a little bit more lip liner. See, I love this color so much. I hope you try this because it honestly does, you'll end up like using more of your other makeup products which are not actually meant for lips on your lips, and it actually looks really good, especially when you use blush on your lips. Now next up, I'm going to be showing you how I really lift the face. So this is where I really want that obvious lift on my face. Maybe I've done a full coverage look, maybe I haven't. Either way, you can still do this. You want to get a powder which is a little bit lighter than your skin tone, so you don't want anything too close to your skin tone. I'm going to be using my Banana powder, and I'm going to put a little bit of this in the palm of my hand there. I'm going to grab my Laura Mercier powder puff and I'm going to just squeeze it, and now I'm going to press it into this powder. Now you can use any kind of powder, something that is lighter. You can use a translucent powder too. Now what I'm going to be doing is actually pressing this along certain areas. So from the corner of my mouth, all the way up there. So similar to what we did earlier, but much bigger, and we're doing it with powder. I'm going to go ahead and do this on the other side too. You will see how even without focusing on kind of like sculpting as in like a contour shade or bronzer, you can still kind of get that lift. Now I'm going to get my Real Techniques brush and I am basically going to dust this away. You can let this sit there, by the way, if you want, but you know, it's up to you. And I really like this to just kind of like lift the face a little bit without having to focus on kind of the sculpting side of things, because I think it really does kind of like lift the face in a natural way. Next up is it's kind of like the order of applying something. So this little hack of mine, it works so well. So, you know, sometimes when you apply, like, say, bronzer, you might be someone who applies bronzer or contour powder, whatever it is. When I say bronzer, I'm talking about either bronzer or either contour powder. I use bronzer, not contour powder. When you're using a bronzer and a blush, sometimes it can be tricky, like, what way round do I apply it? Like, oh, but I've applied my bronzer, but now that I've applied my blush, it's kind of overshadowing the bronzer. So I'm going to show you what I do to really kind of like just solve that issue right away. I am going to be applying my blush before my bronzer. And the reason for this is because when I apply blush, sometimes it can go a little bit too much. Like, it just looks like, whoa, there's blush, and it's just there randomly. It's not any specific, well, it is in a specific area, but it just kind of ends up like overshadowing other parts of what I've applied. I want it to kind of stay in a certain area, but I don't want it to be the star of the show, if that makes sense. I want my bronzer to be the star of the show. I want my sculpting to be the star of the show. I don't want my blush to be overshadowing that and taking the limelight. So what I'm going to do is use my Sigma F12 brush. I'm using my Kylie powder blush in Baddie on the Block, and I am going to be applying this just where I want it, which is basically up here, top part of my cheekbone. Going to do the same here. Now I feel like it's just kind of there. Then what I do is I get my bronzer, which is my Island Ting Fenty Beauty. I can see like a hair on my face. It's really annoying me. Fenty Beauty Sunstalker. I'm going to get my Hourglass Veil brush, and I'm just dipping into that. And now I'm going to basically apply my bronzer, but don't worry about where the blush is. Forget about that. Just ignore that. We're going to start from the top of the ear. And we're going to go, you end up like putting it just below the blush, but don't focus on like where to apply your bronzer based on where the blush is applied. Focus on applying it wherever you normally would. And that's the biggest trick here, is applying the blush first and also applying your bronzer in the area that you would normally apply it. Like, and what happens is naturally when you've applied your blush first and then you go in to apply your bronzer, you will like automatically think, oh, I'm just going to go just below the blush. Forget about that. Just apply the bronzer wherever you normally apply it, because your blush is naturally going to peek through anyway. So don't worry about like trying to apply it like according to where the blush is applied. Apply it where you want to apply it, like regardless. And you'll see that just the right amount of blush comes through. So I'm literally just kind of like doing it where I usually would do it. This way, we've got that really nice blush peeking through. And when you do this technique, you can actually go a little bit overboard with the blush if you want, you know, because you know that once you've applied your bronzer, it's going to kind of tone it down. Look how much toned down it is now. Honestly, I love this technique. Next is my last little hack, and that is kind of like setting my makeup. Now, I already set my makeup with powder, but this is kind of like an extra step. You know, like say if you want to like lock it up and throw away the key, it's just like there, it's really set, you know. So this is where I use a setting spray, but I don't spray it on my face. I actually spray it on the sponge and then press it onto the face. But the option you have here is to use 2 setting sprays. Is, say for example, you've got one setting spray, like this is my MAC Fix and Stay Over. So this is something which you can like spray on or spray onto a brush and it sponge and press it onto the skin. And then I've also got my Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist. So this is something that's going to help to kind of give your skin that dewy finish. Now what I want to do is I can use one or I can use both. So it doesn't mean you have to use both. The hack is not using both. The hack is actually spraying it onto a sponge and then pressing it onto your skin. What I'm going to do is I've got my sponge here, and then I'm just basically going to spray. I am going to press all over. And this is going to really help to kind of like keep my makeup in place and like give it that extra staying power. But if you want to, what you can do is use a dewy setting spray, because then it's not going to look matte. It's going to give you that really nice natural look. I'm going to apply a little bit of this just so you can see. I mean, it's just a small amount. That's the Tatcha dewy one. Like for example, I sometimes apply it to my cheekbones. You know, if I just want, rather than applying a highlighter, I basically use this spray on a sponge and apply it there. And that's basically my other little added bonus hack for you. something I do for a very natural. See how that's just giving me a like slight glistening glow there. That's about it basically. Those are my kind of little makeup hacks that I use, that I feel that you can kind of use on whatever kind of look that you're doing really. I really do hope they helped you, and I hope they kind of like just up your makeup game a little bit. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments box below. Don't forget to subscribe to my other channel, which is my vlog channel. I think you're going to love it. It's just a bit more of an insight into me, my life, and what I do. It's you guys coming along with me for the day, some like business educational side, like inspirational, motivational, like everything that I want to really kind of put out there. It's all very good. It's just full of goodness. So I hope you like it over there too. Thank you so much for all your support on this channel. I absolutely love your comments. I love reading them. I don't get a chance to always reply to all of them. I do love you guys to bits, and wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you loads of good vibes. I really do hope you enjoyed the video today. I hope you managed to take away some of these hacks that you can try yourself and incorporate into your own makeup routine. Now, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you don't miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon.